Are you thinking of upgrading your new home? Well, before spending thousands of dollars, let's talk about the upgrades many buyers regret making after moving in. From fancy features that seem great until reality hits, to costly add-ons that just don't hold their value, you won't want to make these mistakes. So stick around, save yourself some time, money, and frustration. And before we get started, I do want to say that I'm probably going to miss some very important ones, so go ahead and leave those in the comments down below, or let me know what home upgrade you think is totally overrated, and I may do a follow-up video of the most common ones that you guys share with me down the road. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the first big upgrade that I see people do that they end up often regretting are these fancy outdoor kitchens. It can be very expensive these days to put in an outdoor kitchen, especially if you're running water lines and drain lines where you need to cut into concrete or run them across the yard and under the house by digging ditches. This can require permits and inspections, and the costs are generally very high for this type of work. Oftentimes people do very nice stonework and they do built-ins when they do this, and a lot of that stonework and that built-in work can also be quite costly, meaning you may only get pennies on the dollar back if you need to turn around and sell the property down the road. Now don't get me wrong, if you're going to get enough enjoyment out of it, or you're going to live there long enough to get your value out of it, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But a much better alternative for many people will be to instead just do a more modest sort of outdoor space that you design. You can get some pretty nice chairs, a little table, small fire pit, a nice little barbecue, and get some shade coverage, and you can usually put together a nice little space to hang out in for under a couple $1,000s. And the nice thing is if you ever move, you can take a lot of this stuff with you, which is a huge benefit. So for a lot of people, especially if you don't know how long you're going to be living in the property, this might be a good option for you. The next regret many buyers have after putting it into their new home is a new pool. And as most of you know, it's quite common for pools to have cracks in the surface, to need to be resurfaced pretty frequently, which can cost a small fortune. And also, pool equipment can get very expensive and it requires maintenance and repairs pretty frequently, and also the pool needs to be maintained on an ongoing basis. Now, all of these can add to your cost, not just of putting it in, but your ongoing costs of owning the property. And also, when somebody buys the property down the road, they're going to be concerned about the costs that they're going to face from any work that's going to need to be done to the pool in the future, as well as just the general maintenance costs that they're going to experience. Now, despite hearing people say that it adds roughly 7% value to your home, in my experience, in some cases, it actually can decrease the value of the home, believe it or not. Now, a little caveat alert, I do want to say that it does depend on where you live. In some areas, especially where they have long, hot summers, pools are generally more desirable, and buyers tend to want pools in those areas more frequently than areas where I'm from, which is the South Bay in Los Angeles here, where a lot of buyers actually don't want pools. And so what I've seen in the past is that having a pool almost can be like a liability and really limit the pool of buyers that are interested in buying the property, in some cases so much so that it can actually be quite surprising. Another thing that I've seen in the past is that homes that have pools oftentimes end up being big negotiating points in a transaction when you sell the home in the future. So if the pool needs some work currently, maybe it has some cracks in it, the pool equipment's not functioning correctly, a lot of times buyers are going to want the seller to compensate them for these repairs. They know it's going to be a large, unnecessary expense to owning the home just because there's the pool there, and generally they're going to push a bit harder for credit or for repairs on something like that than say something else that the house could use but is still functional. That said, if you get enough enjoyment out of it and the costs and maintenance and expenses and possible difficulty of selling it in the future don't concern you, by all means, go for it. Pools are very nice. I just wanted to take a quick moment and say that my goal for this channel is to help as many people as I can have permanent housing security and build wealth through leveraging real estate and other assets. So if I can help you with any real estate needs here in SoCal, please reach out to me, let me know. Or if you're looking for a highly skilled, top producing agent anywhere in the country, I can find somebody amazing for you. So go ahead and reach out on my website and let me know where you need some help. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. All right, let's get back into it. The next one is high-end appliances. Now, we've heard many people say they're not built like they used to, but the truth is they may be built purposely to break these days. And the fancier ones that you buy, like the ones that have all of the digital stuff and Bluetooth and fancy screens, those tend to be the ones that break the most frequently, are the most costly to repair, and oftentimes the hardest to actually find parts for, so you could be sitting there for months or weeks or without your appliance functioning as it was intended to. Now, some people take the extra step and build appliances into their kitchen or into their house where the space that's created exactly matches the appliance, and the problem with that is that buyers are going to be concerned that if the appliance stops working or isn't working when you're selling the property, that it may be difficult to find another appliance to match that space or to match that style, and that can create a problem because it may not just be replacing the appliance at that point, but it may also require other upgrades or modifications to the property, to the kitchen, to the layout, etc., which of course could mean a lot of extra costs for somebody down the road. And also, if you decide to go with some of these fancier appliances, it's generally good to go ahead and get the extended warranty, so at least you have some support and some help when invariably it does end up breaking down within a couple years. All right, the next thing that buyers often regret doing is high-end landscaping or fancy concrete and stonework. I've actually seen some of these highly finished backyards where the seller put in $150,000, $200,000 into the property, and it's only actually selling for maybe $25,000, $35,000 more than the comparable neighbor that just has the more basic backyard. So this is definitely one of those expenses where you're very unlikely to get anything close to what you spent on it back in return when you turn around and sell the property. A lot of buyers aren't going to have the same taste as you in terms of design and the way that you went about doing it, and so they may not see the same level of value that you do. Also, the nicer the landscape is, the more maintenance it's generally going to require, and this can obviously get expensive as an ongoing or recurring cost, and buyers are going to consider that when they're buying the property. But that said, it is very nice walking into a beautifully landscaped backyard with lots of nice stonework and all that. So if you enjoy it, the cost isn't a problem for you, by all means, I totally get it. The next one that I see fairly often that people often regret is downsizing into less bedrooms. Now, quick caveat alert on this as well. If you're taking a 5-bedroom down to a 4-bedroom, or even in some cases a 4-bedroom down to a 3-bedroom, probably not a big deal, especially if that extra large bedroom that you create works out really nice. It's beautiful, has a beautiful bathroom. Certainly for a lot of people, 4 bedrooms is going to be enough instead of 5, or even in some cases 3 bedrooms instead of 4. But when you get down to 2 bedrooms or less, that becomes a problem for many buyers, and you really limit your resale ability of the property if you do that. As an example, I had a client one time that converted the top floor of a very nice house into a giant music recording studio. It cost several $100,000, and although he was really happy with the result, imagine what that's going to be like when he turns around and wants to sell the property. I mean, unless he finds somebody just like him who needs a giant recording studio, the new buyer is probably going to want there to be normal bedrooms and bathrooms, which means they're either going to want him to put everything back to the way it was, or they're going to want a huge discount because they know that they're going to incur those costs as soon as they become the new owner. The reality is that most buyers prefer having additional spaces for a variety of different things, like a gear shed, an extra office, a nursery, a workout room, etc. They can usually make that space work for something. So when you take it away and you open things up, a lot of times you limit the buyer pool if you have to turn around and sell the property in the future. So before you splurge on that must-have upgrade, think twice. While some renovations seem exciting at first, they can quickly turn into costly regrets. Whether it's a luxury feature that doesn't hold its value or a trend that fades quickly, smart investing is always the key. You want to make sure that you're going to get ROI on your investment and it's going to add value to the house, so you're going to get more money for the house when you turn around and sell it, or you want to make sure that you're going to enjoy it and it's worth the cost to you, but at least you'll know upfront before making the decision. Don't forget to let me know which home upgrade you think is totally overrated down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Let me know how I can help you with your real estate needs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.